I'd been on the trail for days, the biting winter wind gnawing at my bones like a pack of wolves. I'd made camp last night under a jagged outcrop of rock, trying to shield myself from the worst of the cold. But even with the fire roaring and my coat wrapped tight, I'd never felt more alone. The land stretched out before me, a vast sea of snow and ice that seemed to go on forever. Today, my horse, Buck, trudged through it without complaint, his breath puffing out in thick clouds that froze before reaching the ground. I was headed east, toward the Montana Territory. The job was simple enough: transport a load of pelts to a trading post in Helena. Then, I could replenish my own supplies. I was almost out of food and had very little ammunition left. With winter setting in, the trip had turned treacherous. It had been days since I'd seen another soul, and the days were growing shorter, the nights colder. As we crested a ridge, I spotted something that out of the corner of my eye. Movement in the snow, just beyond a grove of pines. For a second, I thought it was just a trick of the wind, but then I saw it again. A flash of pale fur, quick and fluid. My hand instinctively reached for the rifle on my back, and I squinted against the wind. It was then I saw it clearly. A large snow leopard, its coat almost blending with the snow around it. It was stalking us. I've hunted plenty of dangerous game in my time. Bears, mountain lions, wolves. But I'd never tangled with a snow leopard before. They weren't common in these parts, but the reports had been coming in from ranchers further north. Hungry cats moving southward as the weather grew harsher, looking for food wherever they could find it. I cursed under my breath. Normally, I'd just shoot at it, even just to scare it off. But with my limited supply of shells, I couldn't afford to waste the last few bullets I had left. My life depended on it. The leopard was low to the ground, its paws making no sound in the snow. Its eyes locked onto mine for the briefest moment, and I felt that icy shiver crawl down my spine. I knew it was watching, waiting for the right moment. Buck shifted nervously beneath me, sensing the predator nearby. I kicked him into a trot, hoping the movement would throw off the leopard's focus. It was a dangerous game, but I had little choice. The sooner I moved, the better chance I'd have to get away. The leopard followed. It wasn't chasing, not yet. It was simply moving parallel to me, keeping its distance, studying me with the same cold calculation that had kept it alive in these harsh mountains. The wind shifted and I heard the soft scrape of its paws on the snow. Too close. I glanced over my shoulder and there it was, its eyes glinting in the fading light, no more than 20 feet behind. The instinct to run surged through me, but I knew better than to let panic take control. I kept Buck steady, pushing him forward, but I had to think fast. It was still a good distance to the nearest town, and even further to any real help. If I tried to make a break for it, I'd only make myself more of a target. No, I had to outsmart it. The leopard was faster than I'd anticipated, its white fur stark against the darkening landscape. A sudden pain shot through my side as I felt something sharp scrape my leg. The leopard had lunged, its claws raking across my thigh. Buck reared, startled by the attack, and I lost my balance, falling hard against the frozen ground. The world spun around me as I struggled to push myself up, but my body felt sluggish, my movements stiff from the cold. For a moment, everything went silent. I barely had time to react before the leopard pounced, its powerful body landing just inches from me. The air was thick with its breath, hot and fast, as it bared its teeth. My rifle lay just beyond my reach, and I could see the glint of its claws as it prepared to strike again. In that moment, I knew my only option, and there was no time to hesitate. I grabbed the knife from my belt and swung it blindly, hoping to catch the cat off guard. The blade grazed its side, but it only seemed to enrage the creature. It lunged again, but this time I was ready. I shoved myself to the side, rolling quickly to my feet and grabbing for my rifle. The snow leopard wasn't giving up, though. It came at me again, moving faster than I'd thought possible. The cold numbed my senses, but the instinct to survive burned bright. I swung the rifle up and fired without aiming. The sound of the shot echoed through the mountains, the recoil knocking me back. But the leopard was still there, its eyes narrowing as it retreated a few steps. I must have missed it, but I didn't wait to find out. I bolted, ignoring the pain in my leg and the burning in my chest as I sprinted toward the trees. Buck, still skittish, was trying to regain his senses, but he was slow from the cold. I needed my horse to move faster, or I'd be dead by dawn. "Come on!" I shouted at Buck. He knew the command and galloped after me. I could hear the leopard growling behind me, its footfalls soft but relentless. I was being hunted and was battling for my survival. I pushed myself harder, the adrenaline numbing the pain, the fear sharpening my focus. I reached a small cluster of pines within a dense thicket that might give me some cover. I made a beeline for it, hoping to lose the leopard in the woods. But as I neared, I heard the crunch of snow behind me. Too close. Without thinking, I veered off course, diving into the snow and rolling to one side. The leopard, perhaps expecting me to keep running, leapt past me, its claws raking the air where I'd just been. I grabbed for a fallen branch and swung it hard, hitting the cat's muzzle. It let out a snarl, but it was pulling back, wary now. I didn't wait to see what it would do next. I scrambled to my feet, found Buck, and hauled myself onto his back. My leg burned, but there was no time to tend to it. The leopard was still there, waiting for the right moment to strike. With a sharp kick to Buck's ribs, I spurred him forward again, urging him to run with everything he had. The trees thinned out, and ahead I could see the open plains once more. I risked a glance over my shoulder. The leopard had stopped following, at least for now. It was a dangerous game, but I knew that for as long as I kept moving, I had a chance to survive. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat louder than the last. The sun had set, and the cold was creeping in, settling deep into my bones. But I didn't slow. I couldn't. By the time I reached the safety of the next ridge, the leopard was gone. Whether it had given up or was waiting for me to make a mistake, I didn't know. But I wasn't going to take any chances. I set up camp quickly, building a fire that crackled and snapped, its warmth a welcome relief after the terrifying chase. As the fire burned low and the night stretched on, I leaned back against a tree, exhaustion pulling at me. I thought about the snow leopard, its eyes cold and calculating. It had come close to ending me, but it hadn't. And for that, I was grateful. I checked my rifle and my heart sank. Only 2 shots left. I knew the hunt wasn't over, not yet. But tonight, I'd won.